Hello and welcome. I am Elena Valdez, and I'm here to do the reading for parents of the Libra child. This can be for parents, guardians, also grandparents. I actually already pre-shuffled. I started the recording earlier and then realized that the volume was off, so I had to start over. But these were the cards you got beforehand. I also want to remind you that this is a general reading and that you will hear me say he, she, they throughout the reading. However, please apply gender however it best suits you and your household. And also, if I haven't already asked you, could please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, all that good stuff. And I also want to acknowledge that I know that there are different age ranges here. I know some of you are here for itty bitty ones, and some of others of you are here for teenagers and everything in between. So let's get started. The first placement here will tell us what your Libra child is experiencing during the month of March. And you got the Emperor, which is very interesting because this is the opposite energy of Libra, because the Emperor usually represents Aries, and Aries is very much of the initiator. It's a cardinal sign also like Libra. And what this is saying here is that Libra is doing a really good job. Your child is doing a very good job of balancing himself or herself, not only with their true essence and their nature, but also the opposite nature, opposite abilities and skill set, if you will, which is very, very nice because it means he's blending energies very well and coming into his own authority, because the Emperor is about that. The Emperor is about coming into our own authority and learning leadership skills and learning how to lead others, right? So many times I see this come up in this position when a child has graduated from one grade level into another, but also when he or she becomes an older sibling or an older cousin, for example. And let's say a new cousin has arrived and now your little one has become, kind of like the one to look up to for whatever reason. Or maybe some new neighbors have moved in and there are younger children. In any case, it's an indication that your little one is taking up a bit of a leader role here. And of course, this is going to play out differently for all of you, right? Like I said before, depending on the age range. If you're dealing with some teenagers here or a teenager, potentially it's someone who could be, you know how they have those TAs in classroom, like student TAs? I am picking up that there are some older children here that are picking up those type of responsibilities, and they're learning how to show up in that teacher and just elevated knowledge type of responsibilities, if you will. Okay, so let's see what the conflict can be potentially. Also, another thing I wanted to mention with the Emperor, there's a rise in self-esteem that happens here because they are in their own authority. But in terms of a conflict or potential challenge, Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords, aren't these just adorable? So the Seven of Swords can indicate one of two things. The first way that this can play out, because remember, we are reading this from the perspective of the child. So if we're looking at it from child perspective and not in the way that we would typically read an adult, regular adult tarot read, this can play out a couple of ways. Number one, either your child is dealing with playmates or classmates, peers that are not being very nice to him or her, perhaps feeling a little bit like, because this is the card of getting away with something, sneaking off, but it's also the card of being creative enough to think of ways of going around the system, if you will. So it's not necessarily a negative card. It's just more about being secretive or keeping things or being mischievous. So, but see, there's a funny dynamic here. You see, you have this little monster that's gotten away with something, and then you have this little guy that's observing it and kind of like a witness to it, right? So it could be that your little one is either A, the witness of someone getting away with something or being mischievous and feeling uneasy about that, or B, that your child is the one that's being mischievous and getting away with something. Although I doubt that. I doubt that it's your little one, because when you're in the Emperor position here, when you have the Emperor essence, that's a very responsible, ethical type of energy to take on. So I don't really think that that's, I mean, perhaps a few of you will have a little mischievous Libra, but really what I'm feeling more than that is that maybe because now your little Libra has taken this new responsibility, or kind of like a big brother, big sister, older classmate type of responsibility, there are others around him or her that are being mischievous, and maybe being mischievous towards him, towards your Libra, because, well, now this little guy has authority and others want to get away with stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So of course, apply it how it resonates in your household. But this is a challenge for your little one, right? Because your Libra is trying to balance this energy here, trying to do the right thing, trying to be mature about things. And there are little ones around him or her that are not going along with that. Okay, and potentially even being bratty with your little Libra, maybe even bullying your little Libra, you know, to kind of push the button to see how far they can get away with things. I really am feeling some sibling energy here, like an older child thing. But, you know, again, I'm curious to know. So if you can comment on what's going on, I'd be like grateful for you to do that. Okay, so let's move on. So let's open it up a little bit more and see what this is really all about. This position here, I feel, is the most important position in my readings, because this will give us an indication of, it will actually inform us of what it is that your child needs most from you, the parent or the guardian. Now, the thing with this position is that it's not always necessarily what they want from you, but it is what they need from you. And you have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, so your child needs to be able, he needs you to facilitate communication about what's going on. So if there is a sense that you pick up that either your little Libra is doing this or others are behaving this way with him or her, your Libra wants to communicate about it with you, but doesn't know how. And so, dear parent, this is asking you to facilitate conversation. To also, it's not just about facilitating conversation, it's also about teaching your Libra to articulate what is going on, or to give them the vocabulary, the verbiage that would allow them to express themselves or help them through that process. I hope that makes sense, because this is really, you know, the Knight is about movement forward. It's about growing and expanding, and depending on what suit it's under. And in this case, it's the Swords, right? And the Swords is about communicating, and it's also about speaking the truth, or attempting to, because the Knight is not yet the Queen and it's not yet the King, but it's in the process of that, and it's moving towards that direction, right? So there is an indication here that there's some growing up that your little one is doing, kind of like fast grow up, actually. And these issues are coming up that he's never experienced before, because that's not been a role for him or her. But she also doesn't have the vocabulary to express what's happening. So this is where you come in. This is what your little one needs most from you during the month of March, to facilitate a way to express what's happening, giving him or her the vocabulary, and also creating space for them to be able to chat with you about what's happening. That's huge here. That's actually really big. I'm really feeling Libra energy right now, little ones, heavy energy, in the sense that they're holding on to this. They don't know that it's okay to talk about it, because now it's almost like they have misinterpreted having to take on new responsibility to mean that they have to be tough about it. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. And just talk to your little Libra. Your little Libra just needs to vent and chat about what's happening. And of course, the level of conversation you have is going to depend on their age, right? So keeping that in mind. Okay, so let's move on to the advice card for you. Yeah, it's the Queen of Wands. So again, the advice here is to inspire and facilitate space for your child to be in his or her own authority. But it's also really about you, dear parent. It's about you exuding the confidence and teaching your child about, like, emulating, or I should say, showing by example confidence, leadership skills, and teaching this to your child now that they've come into this new responsibility, teaching them how they too can show courage, dynamism, creativity, compassion, but with fire in them, meaning with inspired by who they are inherently deep inside. So this is about showing up for your little one in your own essence as an example of the leader that they can be. Okay, so it's not just about communication, it's about showing it. Awesome. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to someone. I want to pull one final card, and this is not tarot or oracle. This is actually a fun deck that I recently received, and they are adorable cards. And this is an advice card, not an advice card, but this is what would be a good idea for you and your family to do during the month of March. Obviously, this reading is for Libra, you, and about your Libra child. But this is for your family. This card that I'm about to pull will be, what is something your family needs to do together? Like your entire family. Obviously, your immediate family. Shadow. Yes. Well, that's a bit of an intense card for a fun deck, isn't it? So shadow is about bringing to light the things that are hidden. So it goes back to this. It goes back to open conversation and open communication. So I have a feeling this whole getting away, there's some sibling action, there's some family stuff happening here that's really getting in the way of your child expanding his or her leadership. And again, potentially secrets about it. Like maybe your child is protecting a sibling, or maybe a sibling is protecting your Libra and not speaking up about how they're behaving. And the shadow here is about looking at the things that are hidden. Okay, so again, it goes back to this card. So it sounds like maybe it's time for a family meeting. Maybe it's time for the family to get together and discuss what is going on. Like, what is really going on? There's some things here that need to be revealed. Nothing horrible, nothing weird and yucky, just, there's some kiddos here getting away with something and it needs to be discussed. So it's time for a family meeting. That's your message here. Alrighty. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it was helpful and brought you some guidance. And I look forward to seeing you back here in April. Thank you so much again for joining. And if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.